Linda works at Preston Corporation, where she spends weeks preparing an important report. She expects to present it herself, but her co-worker Donovan tells her he will handle the board meeting instead. From outside the conference room, Linda watches him remove her name from the report and take full credit for all her work. Despite being lonely and overlooked, Linda remains optimistic. She believes her hard work will eventually be rewarded, especially because she has long been promised a promotion to vice president. When the company founder's son, Bradley, takes over leadership, Linda thinks her chance has finally arrived. Unfortunately, her first meeting with him goes badly, leaving an awkward impression that immediately works against her. Soon afterward, Linda learns that the promotion she expected has been given to Donovan instead. Angry and disappointed, she confronts Bradley directly and demands an explanation. Bradley admits that she is excellent at her job, but claims she lacks the people skills needed for leadership. During the uncomfortable conversation, he offers her one last chance to prove herself by solving a problem connected to an important business deal in Bangkok. Just then, a woman enters the room and is introduced as Bradley's fiancée, Zuri. Linda awkwardly greets her, while Bradley compliments Linda, calling her one of the company's top employees. However, he quickly brings up several complaints from co-workers about Linda eating strongly scented foods, such as tuna, at her desk, and politely suggests that she use the break room for those meals in the future. Later, she joins Bradley, Donovan, and other employees on a flight to Thailand. During the trip, her co-workers laugh at an old audition video she made years earlier, believing she cannot hear them. The mockery deeply embarrasses her, and she quietly deletes the report she had been working on before disaster suddenly strikes. The flight encounters severe turbulence and quickly turns into a catastrophe. In the chaos, Donovan attempts to force Linda from her secured seat, but she fights back to protect herself. Moments later, the plane crashes into the ocean. When Linda wakes the next morning, she finds herself stranded on a remote island in the Gulf of Thailand. After exploring the area, she discovers Bradley unconscious with an injured leg and drags him to safety. Using skills that surprise everyone, she quickly builds shelter, collects water. When Bradley finally wakes up, he learns that the others did not survive. Although shaken by the situation, he soon realizes that Linda's survival knowledge may be the only reason either of them has a chance. Bradley, however, struggles to adapt and becomes frustrated that she focuses on daily survival instead of rescue plans. Their relationship grows tense, especially when he continues treating her like an employee rather than an equal survivor. Eventually, Linda leaves him on his own for several days, forcing him to experience just how helpless he really is without her. When she returns and saves him from dehydration, Bradley begins to understand that their old workplace hierarchy means nothing on the island. Linda has become the person in control. Food becomes a growing concern, leading Linda to hunt a wild boar deep in the jungle. Despite Bradley's doubts, she successfully tracks and kills the animal, providing them with their first major source of meat. Later, she discovers a waterfall and, surprisingly, spots a boat nearby. Instead of signaling for help, she quietly leaves without revealing her presence. Linda eventually returns to the camp, carrying water in a backpack she crafted from leaves. However, Bradley is becoming increasingly frustrated because 2 weeks have passed and nobody has rescued them. When Linda encourages him to stay hopeful, Bradley loses his temper. He angrily tries to walk away, though his injured leg slows him down. He accuses Linda of acting like she's important, reminding her that he's the president of a major company. Linda laughs and points out that his father built the company and that Bradley simply inherited the position. When Bradley angrily fires her, Linda only laughs harder. Determined to prove himself, Bradley attempts to build his own camp. Unfortunately, everything he tries goes wrong. Meanwhile, Linda creates a sturdy shelter, complete with a hammock and a reliable food supply. She even arranges branches on the beach to spell out, "Help." As hunger grows unbearable, Bradley catches a bug and attempts to eat it. The taste is so awful that he immediately spits it out. Eventually, he approaches Linda, who has prepared an impressive table filled with homemade sushi. Bradley tries acting friendly, but Linda embarrasses him by pointing out something stuck in his teeth. Soon afterward, Bradley notices she has a knife. Linda explains that she discovered it washed up on the shore. Bradley begins apologizing for his behavior, but Linda wants a more sincere apology. He admits that he underestimated her abilities and failed to appreciate how valuable she was at the company. While Linda calmly continues eating and drinking, Bradley becomes increasingly desperate. Eventually, he falls to his knees and begs for forgiveness. As Linda continues teasing him, Bradley even offers romantic favors in exchange for help. Linda immediately stops that conversation and finally agrees to let him return to her camp. Later that day, Linda takes Bradley on a walk to help strengthen his injured leg. They climb a mountain and carefully cross a dangerous narrow path that requires several risky jumps. At the summit, Linda shows him that the island is surrounded by endless water. Continuing their journey, she teaches him how to identify poisonous berries by testing them on the skin. She also warns him about a section of the island, marked by two rocks forming an X. According to Linda, the area is filled with thorn bushes and poisonous vines, and should be avoided at all costs. On their way back, Bradley stops to rest his leg. Suddenly, the ground beneath Linda collapses. She barely manages to grab some vines before falling. Bradley immediately reaches out and helps pull her to safety. As they tumble onto the ground together, they both laugh at the absurd situation. That evening, Linda reveals that she has been fermenting fruit to make alcohol, and by nightfall, both of them are drunk. Linda shares that she was once married. Her marriage lasted 10 years before her husband died, but she admits she doesn't miss him because he was cold and unloving. Bradley responds by explaining that he never really knew his father. The man was always focused on work and rarely connected with his family. He also reveals that his mother was abusive, though he tries not to blame her because she was raised by an abusive father herself. Inspired by Bradley's honesty, Linda confesses that her husband was abusive and drank heavily. She often hid his car keys when he became intoxicated. One night, after a terrible argument during which he treated her horribly, she finally stopped trying to stop him. She allowed him to take the keys, and he later died in a car accident. It's a secret she has never shared with anyone. By the end of the conversation, Linda admits that part of her doesn't want to leave the island. The next morning, Linda wakes up with a terrible hangover. When she goes to the shore to wash up, she sees Bradley bathing and suddenly notices how attractive he is. That afternoon, a powerful storm strikes the island. Linda pushes Bradley out of the path of a falling tree and saves his life. Together they run to a nearby cave and wait for the storm to pass. During the cold night, Bradley hugs Linda to share body heat. The following morning, Linda wakes up alone and goes searching for Bradley. They discover that their camp has been completely destroyed by the storm. Linda apologizes for building it too close to the water, but Bradley simply suggests that they rebuild together on higher ground. Sometime later, they have successfully created a new camp. During a walk, Bradley thanks Linda for everything she has taught him. That evening, he volunteers to cook dinner and proudly admits it's his first time preparing a meal. However, something is wrong. Shortly after eating, Linda begins feeling dizzy. She realizes Bradley secretly added poisonous berries to her food. As she collapses, Bradley runs into the woods and returns with a raft he has been secretly building. Confident in his plan, Bradley pushes the raft into the water and climbs aboard. Unfortunately, it doesn't go far. The first wave leaves it stuck in place. Proud of his work, Bradley mockingly gives Linda the finger. Moments later, a second wave tears the raft apart. A third and even larger wave throws him into the ocean. As Bradley begins to drown, he hallucinates that Zuri has come to save him. Instead, someone vomits on his face. He soon realizes that Linda rescued him despite being sick from the berries. Back on shore, she performs CPR and accidentally vomits on him again. The next morning, Linda feeds Bradley breakfast before explaining that he needs to learn he isn't in control anymore. Soon Bradley notices that something feels wrong. Linda reveals she fed him a species of octopus containing a toxin that temporarily paralyzes the human body while leaving the mind fully conscious. Once Bradley is unable to move, Linda places her knife into the fire and removes his clothes. She tells a story about having a dog fixed to make it more obedient. Then she explains that Bradley must accept that she is now in charge. She lowers the heated knife toward his groin, making it appear that she is about to castrate him. Unable to move anything except his eyes, Bradley cries in terror. Blood splashes onto his face. Linda eventually reveals that she only cut open a dead rat to scare him. She warns him that next time, the punishment won't be a trick. Moments later, Captain slips off the cliff edge. As he desperately asks Linda for help, she does nothing. Both he and Zuri fall to their deaths. Linda returns to camp and sits alone by the shore, struggling with guilt. Bradley suggests they go hunting, but Linda says she's taking the day off. Bradley points out that he can't hunt alone while noticing the nearby knife. That night, Linda hears Zuri's voice calling her name. She follows the sound and sees Zuri crawling from the ocean. Accusing Linda of murder, the vision terrifies her. Linda attacks the figure, only to realize she's hallucinating. Suddenly, a horrifying corpse appears behind her, causing her to panic. The next morning, Bradley goes hunting but scares away his prey. While wandering, he notices a hand sticking out of the sand. Horrified, he digs further and discovers a wedding ring. The discovery causes him to break down emotionally. Returning to camp, Bradley confronts Linda and asks if she killed Zuri. He shows her the ring. Linda insists that Zuri slipped accidentally, but Bradley doesn't believe her. He compares the situation to what happened with her husband. When Linda reaches for the knife, Bradley already has it. Realizing the danger, Linda runs. Bradley chases her through the jungle. Eventually, he loses sight of her and spots her shoes near a tree. Suddenly, Linda attacks from above and attempts to strangle him with her shoelaces. During the struggle, Bradley drops the knife. He manages to shove Linda away, tearing skin from her scalp. Linda immediately attacks again. Bradley tries choking her, but she bites his shoulder and rips away flesh. She then bites his hand, forcing Bradley to jam his thumb into her eye. Linda grabs a rock and smashes it into Bradley's head, leaving him dazed. Smiling, she reveals that she secretly recovered the ring. Before Bradley can stop her, she swallows it and defiantly gives him the finger. Bradley tackles her, and the fight continues. This time, Linda grabs the knife and stabs him in the stomach. Bradley flees. Linda considers chasing him, but notices where he's heading and decides to wait. Bradley reaches the forbidden side of the island and discovers that Linda lied. Instead of dangerous terrain, he finds a hidden vacation house. He rushes inside and drinks fresh water from the refrigerator. Suddenly, he hears Linda's voice taunting him through the house speakers. Opening a drawer, he realizes every knife is missing. Linda explains that she discovered the house long ago and secretly watched workers deliver supplies. She memorized the security code and has been using the property ever since. Linda also admits she deliberately caused the boat captain to fall to his death. As Bradley moves through the house, Linda eventually corners him while holding a gun. Terrified, Bradley breaks down and admits that he was selfish and cruel. He swears that he's changed because of Linda. He calls her the most incredible person he has ever met, and even claims that he loves her. He suggests they could live together happily in the house forever. Linda says she loves him too. However, she notices that a decorative helmet is missing one of its horns. Realizing Bradley is hiding something behind his back, she becomes suspicious. Using the distraction, Bradley attacks. He knocks away the gun and slashes Linda with the missing horn. He quickly grabs the gun and pulls the trigger, only to discover there are no bullets. Linda immediately grabs a golf club and repeatedly strikes Bradley until he finally dies. 1 year later, Linda is living a completely different life. She has become successful and is seen playing golf with celebrities. During a television interview, viewers learn that she was officially rescued alone on a raft drifting in the ocean. The world believes she was the island's sole survivor. Linda has even written a best-selling book about her experience, and a movie adaptation is already being planned. She is now working on a self-help book focused on survival and personal growth. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more movie recaps and story breakdowns. Thanks for watching.